Did y'all see that thumbnail? A picture is worth 3 broke back sex abusers. Yes, we are going to discuss just what the hell is going on in the did he do it? Diddy trial. Did he do it? We'll discuss that. We'll also discuss if you are an American and you voted for Trump, would you vote for P. Diddy, who hasn't been convicted yet, but Trump has, of about 34 crimes? We want to know why you would do that. And then, lastly, ladies and gentlemen, Trump versus Harvard. We're going to break that down in this ugly tax bill. And somebody that you guys remember very well is joining me on my channel today. His name starts with the L and ends with the Y. Politics of Being Black in America starts right now.
I'm up early for the dealers come out. Everybody is outside till the killers come out. You ain't eating, you just act full. I'm impactful. Dozen funerals in a month. I got that full. I will give it to niggas in all rap forms. Ignatius out right now on all platforms.
There he is, ladies and gentlemen. Is the big homie Larry, the living legend who started this whole thing with me. He is back for, I ain't gonna say one night only, but he is back. Big Larry, how you feeling?
Oh man, I'm hanging in there. I was trying to get myself situated. It's been a while since I've done this, you know?
Yeah. Well, kick on back and get ready to drop. You are some people's favorite philosopher. I don't know if I should be happy about that or scared.
I don't know. Maybe both. Maybe I should be worried, but
right. We all in trouble. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to break some things down for you. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. Be sure to subscribe to Larry's channel. And one thing that I think most of us can agree on is our love of space. And take a look at this. If you want to get your hands on one of those, back in my day, we had 9 planets, and then they decided to come off and chop Pluto away. You can go get it right now with no delay at shoplifegames.com. Check it out. Larry, I've done some new things with the channel. As you see, I'm kind of rebranding, getting more into, how can I put this? Things that aren't distracting in nature. I'm getting more into something that can affect people's lives each and every day. It's politics. Now, I've been doing it, but I'm just going to go ahead and take the bull by the horns now. Before we go, let my daughter say hello. Say something. Go ahead, Elle. Go ahead. Go ahead. We're just sitting over here. What? Elle, say something. And then, okay, hurry up. Okay. All right, now go to bed. Go to bed. So, Larry, I start these segments off with something I call politicking while being Black in America. And if you're not Black, I call it politicking while living under MAGA. This is where you get to let me know any petty grievance you have about anything on planet Earth, and I'll do the same. What you got, or do you want me to go first?
I could go first, man. I'll tell you one of my petty grievances.
Okay.
And it's not even towards the Republicans or the MAGA folks. It's towards the Democrats. When I go on YouTube and I see my feed, I get so annoyed by seeing these videos titled like so and so took down Trump. So and so did Trump. Did you see the takedown, or so and so read Trump? I'm like, Trump is president. No one took him down. No one read him. He doesn't care what you say. And I feel it's so upsetting to me, because I feel like the Democrats just completely let us down. I mean, we had a 2-time impeached, 34 felon convicted, failed 1-term president that was, for all intents and purposes, should have been just a dead duck. And instead, we gave him a second bite at the apple. And it's so annoying to me that these Democrats and people now want to sit up there and talk about how he's being taken down. He's not. He's doing whatever the hell he wants to do. And I get frustrated because the messaging from the Democratic side is basically just nothing. It's like it's either nothing or it's so disjointed. It's like they don't realize these tariffs are tantamount to the largest middle class tax increase that we probably have ever seen in our lifetimes, and they're not even messaging it that way. I don't understand why. What they should be saying is these are not tariffs. This is a tax increase on the working and middle class. That's what they should be saying nonstop. And just like when Trump would get up there and he would say something and he would repeat it. If people said it was wrong, he would cut them off and then repeat it again. That's what they should be doing. They should be hammering home that these tariffs are tax increases on the working and middle class. And until people just, whenever they hear tariffs, that's all they think. This is a tax on me. This is a tax on me. This is a tax on that. You should say it so many times that tax on the middle class and tariffs become synonymous with one another. But they're not doing that.
Well, I'll speak on your petty grievance. Number one, the reason why you see that on YouTube often is because that's what sparks the algorithm. You can't get up here and say it the way I say it, or you only get 100 views on your damn video, hoping that your content will drag people. But the problem, Larry, is if you don't put that kind of shock and awe in your title, the algorithm won't push you to the mass number of people. And that's frustrating all into itself. Yeah. And that's a personal grievance I have. But that's one reason why you see that. But the other parts you mentioned about how they're not holding press conferences and hammering home what's real and what's fake. You've got only maybe a handful of Democrats doing that. And they're not doing it in a way that the Republicans can get away with it, because whenever Trump says the legacy media, for whatever the reason, people don't want to think about Fox News and this new echo chamber of right-wing bullshit in terms of podcasting and social media. They own that space right now, and they own the minds of those males who are 40 and under, who can't get laid, still living with their mama's basement, and they don't give a damn what's being pushed through the economy, because all they want to do is make other people feel the pain they feeling because their penises is not getting wet. And somebody has got to be able to get out there in front of the messaging board and say it. But not only say it, Larry, they need to say it in plain speak, because at the end of the day, folks who are quote unquote educated, they're going to understand what you're saying, whether you speak in plain speak or not. But those who aren't as quote unquote educated, they need to hear it in layman's terms. And I might have to start running for office, Larry, because people understand what I'm saying. I just got to get the message out there.
See, that's why I believe they have to just a simple, direct message. These tariffs are a tax increase on the working and middle class, and that's all you have to keep saying. Say it 1,000 bazillion times. I don't care if people are saying shut up. Just keep saying it. If people say that's not true, keep saying it. If they want to come up with something else, just keep saying it. Because once you say something, whether it's true or not, in this case, it's true. But when you say something enough times, whether it's true or not, what happens is people associate they associate one thing with the other. That's just what it is. You know, we've all seen Uggs and leggings so much that we naturally associate them with hot chicks. When someone says Uggs and leggings, you just think of a hot chick that's walking through the mall or something. You know, if you think about peanut butter, you think of jelly, because it's been associated so many times. So you just have to keep on hammering that home. And, you know, because the reality of it is he's raising taxes on the working and middle class to fund a tax break for the rich. And that's really what it is. Because when you look at how much rich people spend, they just don't spend that much money to fund, you know, these tax cuts. If they were the only ones paying for these tariffs, they still wouldn't be able to do it. Because how many cars are you going to buy? How many, you know, pairs of pants and shoes and everything else? There's, you know, you're talking about 1% of the population that's going to benefit. 99% of us are going to pay for that. And the Democrats just aren't talking. They're not messaging about it. They want to complain about the silly shit that Trump does. And they shouldn't be worried about Trump so much at this point. What they should be focused on is the people. Stop worrying so much about Trump and focus on the people. You worry about Trump so much as you say, this is what he did that affects the people. And then you should go out there and talk to the people. You know,
Well, that's what they got us for, Larry. And we'll talk about the tariffs and taxes a little later on in this video. My personal grievance, Larry, my petty personal grievance that has just gotten on my nerve this week is Southern white used car salesmen dragging their ugly ass kids out in front of the camera to try to sell some damn cars. Please buy a car from my Uncle David.
is that a
Snag a few
thing?
yes, man. Like, come on, man. Stop trying to use your kids as props. And I'll say this hypocritically, I just used my daughter as a prop this week, but I don't do it all the time. Okay. Like, I did it one time in 4 years of her life. These guys down here drag out kids, they drag out puppies. And when they ain't trying to push grandma off the cliff in the wheelchair and get rid of her Medicaid, they'll wheel her ass out to try to sell something too. I'm tired of it. It's got to stop. Larry, what you think?
I didn't realize they were doing that. That is, I imagine that's probably amusing the first time you see it. And then after the fifth time that commercial's aired, you're probably like, okay, that's enough. That is enough. You know?
Yes, it's enough, man. Can you get them kids some new clothes? Damn, man. I'm tired of seeing that same Dora the Explorer shirt. But anyway, I digress. Y'all let us know what you think. Post your comments down below. And what? Hold on. What'd you do? Okay, lay on the other side, Il. Take your iPad and lay on the other side, okay? Save Daddy some popcorn. We're going to move on, ladies and gentlemen. The next thing we're going to cover is one of Larry's stories he wanted to cover. Oh. He wanted us to talk about, did he do it? Or did he? Do y'all get it? Did he do it? Did he?
Oh, my goodness. Look at that photo, boy. That is if that is not a statement in itself right there, they all have been accused of some sort of crazy sexual everything.
And one of them has fled the country, but I'm sure if he hit up Trump will let him right back in the country, quick, fast, and in a hurry. But
one's fled the country, one's been convicted 34 times, one's locked up, you know.
Yep.
One might get deported when her husband gets sick of her, you know.
Right. And pretty much when Diddy is convicted, all he got to do is hit up Trump. I'm sure close it. I'm sure Trump will give him a pardon. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't been paying attention, Diddy's on trial is coming to the third week, and there's been a lot said, a lot of things dropped. Of course, I got clips for you guys to take a look at. First clip we're going to look at is an overall synopsis of what has happened the last couple of days. Then I've got a clip of a lawyer breaking down what he thinks are going to be some of the ramifications of the case. But make sure you let us know what you're thinking. Larry, here we go with the first one.
Back. So there was more disturbing testimony in the federal sex trafficking trial of Sean Diddy Combs. A former personal assistant using the pseudonym Mia testified the hip-hop mogul sexually assaulted her during the 8 years she worked for him. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman joins us once again from outside the courthouse with more on this trial. Katrina, good morning. What else did Mia tell the jury and share with us what's happening today in the trial?
Yeah. Good morning, Errol. So it was very emotional testimony from this witness who's going by a pseudonym and who spoke really softly on the stand and was weeping, Errol, when she told us about those allegations of sexual assault. I was in the courtroom and saw Sean Combs shaking his head no as she told us about an instance at his 40th birthday party. She'd only been working with him for a few months, and she said that he kissed her and put his hand up her dress, Errol. She told us about another instance later where she was often living in his home, and she testified that she was not allowed to lock the door even. And on one night, she woke up and he was on top of her and he slept with her that night, Errol. So she's been relaying a number of these instances. She says many of them she can't even remember. But in addition to that, we've been learning more about the grueling and sometimes toxic work environment around Combs, where she said that the highs were really high, but the lows were really low. Starting at her first day on the job, he kept her awake for over 24 hours working. There was also a time where she said she worked for 5 days straight until she basically had a physical breakdown, Errol. So she is continuing with this testimony today, and she's also a very important witness for this case. She's one of the primary alleged victims at the heart of the prosecution's allegations and tied to a charge of forced labor that underlies the racketeering conspiracy charge against Combs.
Who, Lord, Larry? I would say he need to worry, Diddy, but as long as Trump is in office, I don't think he got nothing to worry about, even if he does get convicted. I'm dead serious, audience. We've seen Trump release people who have done worse. He just released those reality stars. Now, mind you, I know that the male Todd has a sweet spot for black people because he got a black child, and he came out and made this grand speech about how bad black people get treated in jail. But that doesn't absorb him of defrauding a bank $30 million and then lying on real estate holdings to inflate his income. I mean, it's the same type of con shit Trump did. And he's letting people like that off. And I think Trump would do the same thing for Diddy. But having said that, Larry, what do you think is going to happen in all this stuff? I mean, Diddy's going to have to go get some of that baby oil, take to jail with him, and watch out for him, little self. I mean, it's like him, Cosby, and Harvey have all done this drug the ladies when you really don't have to do that, but they wanted to impose their will instead of just letting people make a choice to be with them when most people would just because of their power. What do you think is going to happen from this, Larry?
I mean, you mentioned those guys, and I don't think not a one of them is in jail right now. I mean, even
Nope.
Cosby got back out.
Harvey's in jail. He's still in, but he's trying to get out, pretending like he's got dementia. He's doing just like your boy on Godfather of Harlem, pretending like he hitting the loony bag and he's crippled. He's trying to get out like that.
Right. I'll be honest with you. Mm-hmm. People aren't gonna like this probably. But if I was, I don't know what Usher did, but he's up there with if I was on that, I don't know what the jury looks like, but if I was on that jury and I heard this woman testify that Diddy stuck his hand up her skirt and kissed her, and then later she moved into his house, I would not believe. I would believe that what happened between them was consensual, or I would not believe that it happened, because I cannot believe that you would get up there, be sexually assaulted by this man, and then as a consequence of this sexual assault, turn around and move into his house. That doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make a lick of sense to me.
Here's the thing about that, Larry. The rules say even if you live with a person, if they say no, it means no. It doesn't matter whether. It used to be in North Carolina. They used to have a rule where you, if you're married, there's no such thing as rape. And in 2020 or 2002, so that the jury.
But that's not what I'm talking about, though. That's not what I'm talking about. What I'm saying is the testimony that they said that the woman at his birthday party or something, that he came up to her, kissed her, and stuck his hand up her dress. And then later, she was living with him in his house. So that tells me, if you're trying to say that you were sexually assaulted because he, after you had only been working for him for a couple of months, and he came up and kissed you and put his hand up your dress, and then later you decide you're going to move into his house? Like, okay, he sexually assaulted me here, but if I move into his house, I'm going to be safe? See, that to me, that it doesn't make sense to me. It says to me that either one, that what happened didn't happen the way it happened. Like maybe he kissed her, and maybe he put his hand up her dress, but maybe it wasn't completely unwanted on her side. Maybe that's why she decided later to move into his house, because what had happened wasn't unwanted by her. Now I don't know what happened while he was living with her. Maybe while she was living with him, he, maybe he went into her room and jumped on top of her or did whatever he did. I don't know. But once you tell me something like you were sexually assaulted and later you moved in with the guy, it just doesn't ring true to me. I'm having a hard time believing that.
Well, the thing about that is women are given the benefit of a doubt because of the history of how they've been berated, the history of how the history of how
they
they've
give the
been.
women the benefit of the doubt all the time, though. And there's so many women out there that have been caught lying about stuff. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't believe women, but I'm just saying you can't just blanket believe anybody nowadays. You have to really stress test people's arguments, whatever they're saying, because it's just people say that stuff happened, especially when you're talking about huge sums of money. People know if they can get him convicted, they have a better chance of going to civil court and suing this man for millions of dollars. And
It's too much. It's too much witness.
Trial. I don't think he's getting convicted. I think he's going to get off. I don't think he's getting.
No way. He's getting convicted.
And if he does get convicted, he's going to win on appeal. But I don't think he's getting convicted.
That's not happening either. There's too much evidence. They've got him beating women on tape. They've got some tapes that they haven't even revealed. This dude is gutter trash, man. Now let's see what the lawyer is saying. Let's see what the lawyer had to say and how he feels like no matter what Diddy does, they're going to get their pound of flesh from him.
The impact in the Puff Daddy case of the defense moving for mistrial doesn't mean he walks. That makes sense that you would think that, hey, a mistrial meaning he goes free. The answer is no. Sean Combs, if the defense's motion for mistrial 2 days ago would have been granted, does not mean that his pretrial confinement is over and he's released. What it means is that all the work that the prosecution has done for this jury to get close to a conviction is now gone and ruined, and the case gets reset for another trial. A week ago, everybody was saying the prosecution's not proving their case, and now these witnesses are coming forward and the personal assistant is hammering it home. Who knows, though, what Puff Daddy has in defense and what's going to happen? Who knows if the prosecution messes up and it leads to a mistrial? So it's never over till it's over. Does Puff Daddy take the stand? Is he going to have to get up there and defend himself against this character assassination? The rule of thought typically in the criminal defense world is never put your client on the stand. Why? Because you're putting him on an island by himself, and the prosecution on cross-examination is going to get their pound of flesh. They're going to trap him. They're going to keep him up there for days and just annihilating him. So the defense right now is trying to figure out, are we going to call him? Are we going to not call him? Can he help himself? Is the character assassination too much? Look out for appeal. I saw some great articles, saw some great posting where people are already picking up on this, saying, hold on, there's a lot of inflammatory stuff. And number three, let's see what the defense does with Puff Daddy. Do they got the guts to put him on the stand? And even if they had the guts to put him on the stand, is it the right move? Sometimes as the trial attorney, even if Puff Daddy wants to go up there, you got to tell your client, you can't. You're only going to hurt yourself.
So what you think, Larry? Should they put him on the stand, or should Puff Daddy just stay quiet and stay off the stand?
Yeah, I wouldn't put him on the stand. Even if he had good stuff to say, I wouldn't put him on the stand, because honestly, I feel like the media, the jury, everybody has been so prejudiced about this, because this whole idea of all of this sexual titillation and we live in a very puritanical country, and this idea of someone having these extreme sex parties, and especially now in the midst of all this Me Too, stuff, the idea that this rich and powerful man is using his wealth and his fame to be able to have sex and have these sex parties the way he does, it's just not gonna. I think a lot of people have already been prejudiced towards them, but honestly, I don't think that the prosecution has put on a case strong enough. In fact, I mean, when you look at one of their main witnesses, Cassie, I think when I look at her testimony and the text messages that she sent, I'm thinking to myself, all you need is reasonable doubt. And if I'm on the stand right there, the stuff that she talked about, like, oh, I can't wait for our next freak off, and I love you, I'll come to you for anywhere, I'll do anything to come be with you with these freak offs and blah blah blah, and I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe anything that she said. Yes, I can understand that he hit her or beat her but he's not being charged with that. He's not being charged with hitting her and dragging her by her hair, in a hotel room. He's not being charged with that. And so honestly,
all that type of thing does is just show his character. And I get what you're saying about it shouldn't be about. What's that?
it also opens up an avenue for appeal, just like that attorney was talking about the inflammatory stuff that has been shown that doesn't have anything to do with this case. That's all they're already, if he loses, they already have numerous points of appeal that they can say this. There's no reason for this to have ever come in. It shouldn't have come in. It has absolutely nothing to do with the case. But they brought it in so that they can prejudice and bias the jury, and if they do, then because people are mad at him, like, oh, he's a woman abuser, he should definitely go to jail, even if he didn't do the other thing. But the reality of it is, I think there's so much reasonable doubt here that unless they end up in one of these juries that takes weeks and people are just like, fuck it, just convict him, I want to go home, I think he's getting off. I think he's going to get off. And that's not to say that Puffy's a good guy. I think he's probably done some really, really heinous stuff. And if they were charging him with those things, then maybe he would go to jail. But I think what they're charging him with, I don't think he's going to jail.
So then I have a question for you in particular that's separate from the mass people I'm asking this question to. For all you MAGA maggots and Republicans that voted for Donald Trump, who has convictions under his belt, sexual abuse under his belt, he had to pay civil money, and he incited an insurrection, which I was always taught by white people. The worst thing you can do is degrade the company. The country. Y'all remember what y'all did to Colin Kaepernick when y'all thought he was disrespecting the flag? Y'all was ready to go to war then. So my question to white America is, if we had a presidential race with all the stuff we know about P. Diddy and Trump, would you vote for Diddy? And if you say no, go ahead and just tell me you're being racist. Would you vote for him? Would you vote for him, Larry, over Trump?
For Diddy?
Yeah,
I wouldn't vote for either one of them. I would write in a third party candidate if I had to. If my only choices were Diddy and Trump, I would not vote. I've never not voted for the president during my entire life. I have voted every single time since the moment I was eligible to vote. I would not vote for either one of them.
Larry, when you lay records down, as of right now, Puff is not convicted of anything. Nothing. Not yet. He was a better businessman than Trump. Let's just keep this 100. Trump didn't start making money literally till he got in the office. And then he started grifting. So in the last 3 months, Trump has become a billionaire from grifting the American people. And y'all too stupid to know that he's doing it. You're letting him do it. Up until that, the only thing that he could hang his hat on that he did right was the reality TV show. And even that was scripted for him. And they was talking about how behind the scenes, his ass couldn't keep himself in attention for more than 5 minutes. So be honest about this, white people. Why would you not vote for Diddy, but you voted for Trump? It's simple. Because he's a white male. And he's sticking it to the libs. He's sticking it to the people that want equality. He's bagging up Hispanics and locking them up and taking them away without just due process. And he's white. This man sparked an insurrection on the country. People was going into the offices taking poops. Officers got hurt. Trump was over there cheering and shit behind the scenes, and y'all voted for that. So don't tell me that you wouldn't vote for P. Diddy because he's a bad guy. Because nothing is as bad as Trump. Trump got some of the same accusations on him that Diddy has. So I don't want to hear no more of this hypocritical, the law is the law shit from y'all that voted for Trump. I just ain't got no time for it until you finally realize the error of your ways.
Yeah, when I think about the people who voted for Trump, and I think about Trump in it right now out there trying to make all the money that he's making and all the corruption and the hustle and stuff, he knows whatever money he needs to make, he has to make it now. Because for the most part, the Trump brand is trash. It's like here in the US, people don't want to stay at Trump hotels or live in a Trump tower. And the people who may want to live there can't afford to live there. And the people who can afford to live there don't want anything to do with Trump or his brand. And
they just want to use him. He's a
And
useful idiot for
right.
people.
And so when you see these people out in, you see folks in these other countries, in Dubai and China and some of these other countries around the world, and they're funneling money in towards Trump, and they're saying, oh, we're going to build a Trump tower, a Trump hotel, whatever. They honestly don't care whose name is on it right now. If Trump's name is on it and that's going to get them curry favor with the U.S. government, they're willing to do that for a period of time. But I can guarantee you, the moment he's out of office, that his name is coming off of those buildings, because just like here in DC, they had, when he was in office the first time, they had the Trump Plaza or Trump Tower, whatever it was. After a while, his name became mud again, and they had to take it down. I think the W or somebody bought it because nobody wanted to stay there. And the vacancy rates were out of control because the people who wanted to stay there couldn't afford it. It's an expensive hotel. So I don't know. I just, I understand he's doing his grift now, trying to make as much as he can. It's really a shame because what we have seen is once something happens in the White House, once something happens in the presidency, that has a tendency to set the trend moving forward. And of what people can get away with, what the American public will accept. And I'm afraid that moving forward, we're going to see more people like him that are going to be just as bad, if not worse. And the scary part is that Trump is ruthless and doesn't really care, but he's not the smartest person in the world. We're going to get somebody in there who's also ruthless and also very, very smart. And that person is going to be far more difficult to deal with than Donald Trump is. And so, we've already accepted a lot as the American people. And Trump's thing is move fast, break stuff, and then we'll see how much we can get away with, and we'll just go to court. We'll just let people sue us and go to court. But the problem is the court system, it takes a long time to move things through the court. And so he can go and do a lot of stuff and break stuff. He can deport people and do all this stuff, make deals with El Salvador to lock up, people. And the courts are saying, well, we're trying to work this through our system. And by the time it gets worked out through the system, Trump will be out of office.
Yep. Post your comments, y'all. Let us know what you think about Puff Diddy. Did he do it? And why some whites would tell you they voted for Trump, wouldn't vote for Diddy, but would vote for Trump again. And I can tell you something that most of us can agree on, those of us that still believe in fact and science, is we wish they would grandfather Pluto in as an official planet and stop all this exoplanet, dwarf planet bull jive. If you want to get the t-shirt, link is in description. Now we'll go to Larry's other subject before we go to my subject.
Let me say this one last thing. And I know this is controversial because people always like to say, oh, we need outsiders, we need this and that. But here's the thing. There is a place for professional politicians. People always say we need to fix this system, we need to fix this, we need to fix that. We need some businessmen or somebody else to come in there, some outside thinkers. But there's a place for professional politicians. It's just like if you need to see a dentist, you don't go see your podiatrist. If you end up getting cancer, you're not going to go see a chiropractor. You're going to go see an oncologist. It's just, there is a place for specialized people. There are people out there who have dedicated their entire lives to learning about and practicing politics. And there are other people who have got into it a little bit later and have worked for decades in politics. And people like that are the ones who should be running the country, especially in times of stress. I get it. Otherwise, you end up in situations like we ended up with Trump during the first administration. You end up there where you have President Obama, who left the country in such fantastic shape that we could have just cruised through 4 years of Trump, except for the fact that we ended up with COVID. But because we didn't have a professional politician, we ended up having over 1 million people in this country die unnecessarily because he didn't want to do what a true professional politician would have done from Jump Street, which was to implement that the safety protocols that the Obama administration have put into place if there was a pandemic. A professional politician, even if it was a Republican, would have said, we don't care who made this. It's what we have and we're going to use it. Instead, Trump was like, we're not using it because it came from Obama. And as a consequence, over 1 million Americans died.
Speaking of Obama and some of Obama's roots in college, we've got a situation now where Trump is trying to take on Harvard, and it's just straight bull jive. I'm going to play a clip for you, Larry, and then I'm going to give it to you. I know what Trump is trying to do to tie it over, but that's not the real reason why he's doing it. But let's see what Larry has to say. Take a look at this.
So let me ask you about another policy you've been vocal on, because we should know you do teach at Harvard Business School, and you have been critical of the White House policy to block international students from enrolling there. Why is that? What do you think the president's missing on this front?
I'm also critical of the stance that Harvard's taken, and I have to be careful. I'm an executive fellow. I support. Let me just disclose my association with Harvard. I'm an executive fellow there, have been for years. I support the entrepreneurship program. I teach international students and domestic students in the executive programs, the MBA, and the undergrads as well. And also to disclose, my son, who's an engineer, was accepted at Harvard and MIT, by the way, this year, and chose Harvard to go to school there. I think what has to happen is the president of Harvard, who, by the way, is Jewish, and he doesn't have a single anti-Semitic bone in his body. And many of the professors I work with there are Jewish as well. So I don't think it's an anti-Semitism issue at Harvard. Harvard cannot win the battle by suing the president of the United States. The president of Harvard has to get together with the president of the United States and work out whatever they're going to work out. Now, regarding the students, and you need to understand something here that I think I'm very passionate about. Harvard, the oldest educational institution in America, curates a remarkable cohort every year. They're agnostic to religion, to race, to geography. They find the very best of the very best of the very best worldwide, and they put them into an educational institution to advance learning, to advance science, to advance research. And they are the very best at it worldwide. Until recently, in terms of spending dollars right now, number one in the world is in Beijing. Number two is Harvard. And so America should understand we're in a race on research, because this is where the science comes from. If we curate these people and they come to America and they check out, their background checks are checked out, why don't we offer them the ability to stay here and advance here, to grow their businesses here? Why would we train 37% of the smartest people on earth at Harvard and then kick them out of the country 24 months later? How stupid is that? Why don't we fix this now in this negotiation? Create a program and offer it to every single educational institution in America and say, look, if you're willing to make the pass, if you get actually invited, if you make the cut and you're invited to Harvard or to MIT or to Temple or to Notre Dame, I don't care. It doesn't matter which one. And you're willing to go through the scrutiny of background check and we approve you, we'll give you the golden ticket to stay here. Because I teach these students, they don't hate America. They want to stay here. They're the smartest of the smartest people on earth I've ever worked with. They're young. They're incredible individuals. Why in the world would we want to kick them out of here to go back to even a competing economy that decades later they build businesses that compete with us? How stupid is that? Let's fix this now.
I agree with a lot of what he said. And of course, I do have points where I don't agree, but let me give you the clerical synopsis of what's been going on, the key developments. Trump's actions against Harvard. Funding cuts. The Trump administration has frozen over $2.3 billion in federal research funding at Harvard, citing the university's alleged failure to address anti-Semitism and its resistance to federal oversight. Well, the anti-Semitism part is a lie, because they have addressed it, they have investigated, and they have put new policies in place. As a matter of fact, the old president got fired. Now they got a new one. So that part is a lie, but it's just that part is a way that he can try to go at this legally. Second part, international student enrollment. The Department of Homeland Security attempted to revoke Harvard's certification to enroll international students, accusing the university of non-compliance with federal policy and fostering a hostile campus environment. And ladies and gentlemen, they did have some protests on this campus right around COVID and kept on going because there was a lot of kids that didn't like the things going on in Gaza in the Middle East, Palestine versus Israel, and they did protest and they deemed it, a lot of people deemed it as anti-Semitic, but they investigated that, they put protocols in place. Let's go to the legal battle. Temporary restraining order on May 23rd. That was a couple of days ago. U.S. District Judge Allison D. Burroughs issued a temporary restraining order blocking the Trump administration's attempt to revoke Harvard's ability to enroll international students. Preliminary injunction to restraining order was extended, allowing Harvard to continue enrolling international students. The rumor for why Trump is going after this Ivy League school and a couple of others is that Harvard, Notre Dame, and Temple rejected his special needs son, Barron Trump. Speculation arose that Trump's actions against Harvard were motivated by the university's alleged rejection of his son, Barron. Official denial came from Melania Trump's communication team. That's a lot, Larry. Take it wherever you want to go.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that's tricky because, I mean, they can try and come out and deny and say that Barron never applied to Harvard, but Harvard can't comment on it. They can't say whether he applied or not.
Right.
They can't defend themselves on that point. You know,
they can in court. You know, they can, but that would be the only place that they could do it. They can't in the public sphere, but it can be brought into testimony at court for what he's trying to allege they're doing.
Right. But I mean, the reality of it is that Trump is petty and vindictive. And so there's a reason why he's going after Harvard. We all know it. He's not just going after them for no reason, you know, and I'm sure the reason is that his son didn't get in. He wanted him to go to Harvard and he didn't get in. And it's what it is, you know. He probably figured, hey, you know what? I'm a former president. There's no way they're not going to let my son in. They're just like, you know, no, it's not happening. And so now he's mad and going after him. But the reality is that that Harvard, as O'Leary was talking about, how, you know, Harvard takes in the best people from around the world. Like the brightest minds want to go to Harvard. Even the people that are going to schools in other countries, some of the best schools around the world that people are going to, a lot of them go to those schools because they can't go to Harvard. And it may not be that Harvard didn't accept them or won't accept them. It may be that their country won't let them go. Maybe they won't let them. Like if I'm China, I'm not going to let my best and brightest leave and go to America so they can go work on their AI systems and their medical research. No, I'm going to say if you want to stay here and learn and do the best work you can do, then you need to do it here. But there's a lot of places around the world that have absolutely brilliant human beings and they don't have the learning institutions to support them. And so they go to where they can be supported. And for a very long time, it has been the United States, but it is shifting and going to China. And there was I forgot the name of the university, but it's in Hong Kong. They've already set up a program that says if you are one of these students at one of these elite universities like Harvard, and you're being told that you can't go there, your visa's being revoked, whatever, come here. We are fast tracking you to be able to come here, and we're going to pay for everything. We're going to pay for your schooling, your housing, your food. We're going to pay for you to get here, and everything's going to be fast tracked because they know if they can get their hands on the best and the brightest and they treat them well, those people will stay there and they will work for Chinese companies. They will work for the Chinese government. They will do good work. And at the very least, even if they decide to go somewhere else, while those students are there in undergrad and grad school doing their doctoral thesis and doing research, that the Chinese government will have access to that research. And I mean, let's not forget, some of the brightest minds that this country has ever had did not come from America. We got them from Nazi Germany. We got them. When you think about Einstein, people think about Einstein as an American. Einstein was German, you know?
I mean, a lot of the people that worked on the atomic bomb was from foreign countries.
They can't.
You know, I mean,
these people
we
didn't come. These people didn't come from America. They can't. They ended up here, and
right.
we were happy
So
to have them.
this is one reason why Vivek Ramaswamy kind of turned on the Trump administration, because you have these bright students that just want to come here. You get the free labor when you get them as a student and put them on that visa. You can work them for free for a little while, and you're trying to keep them out, which hurts America, because you have these hungry, eager people that want to come in, like Larry said, the brightest and smartest. And now you are really trying to make us a nationalist, isolated country when you can't do that. We are on a global scale now. The communication is too fast. The growth of economies is too fast. And we are the biggest consuming nation on the planet, but we only make up 3% of the population. That means,
Lamont,
yeah,
the MAGA, the MAGA, love child they're out there, Elon Musk. He is not a native born American. He is South African / Canadian / wherever else he is from. He came here from another country. The idea that we're going to shut out all these brilliant minds from other countries and only get those people that are from here is shooting ourselves in the foot, because we have not only do we have the ability to educate and benefit from the best minds of the world, but right now, still, even with all this foolishness, right now, still, the best minds of the world want to come here. They are actively trying to get here. Why would we stop that from happening? It just doesn't make any sense.
It's stupidity. And Harvard is one of the #1 cancer research places in all the world. I've had 3 people I love dearly within a year span die of cancer. My wife is a medical researcher, and she's been having to finagle things to get research. Why are we doing that? You know how many people are affected by cancer, and you want to stop them because you're being petty? And I did like the idea of him giving money to trade schools, because that would help with these white males that are 40 and under that can't take care of themselves. But don't take it from endowments of these places that do all this great research. There's plenty of money that you could throw at that if you wanted to, but you're too busy trying to give all the money to the people that are using you as a useful idiot, the Elon Musks, the Mark Bezos, the Mark Zuckerbergs. You've got the money to keep it there. Stop this petty grievance with them, and keep on doing your grifting, and leave the research alone. Like Larry said a couple of segments ago, there was no reason we should have lost as many people as we lost during COVID. You had the plans right there in front of your face, and you was like, nope, Obama name on it. Nope, not going to do it. Leave this one alone. Post your comments, y'all. Last thing I got for you, Larry, is the tariff thing you discussed. And I'm ready for that one, because I'm a financial whiz. I love that stuff right now. So let's take a look at Kevin O'Leary in the same clip, but he's talking about Trump's tariffs and the bull job that comes from it. Stick with us, y'all. This is our last segment.
For one view on President Trump's trade wars, we turn now to Kevin O'Leary. He's a businessman, celebrity investor, and a regular member of the show Shark Tank, where he's known as Mr. Wonderful. Kevin O'Leary, welcome to the NewsHour. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you.
So let's start with this legal back and forth when it comes to the president's tariffs just today, and things are changing fast, I should note. But as we speak, 2 federal courts have blocked those tariffs from going into place. An appeals court has granted the president a temporary stay. Is it clear to you and other business leaders where things stand right now on this front?
It shows that the executive in this case, and this happens in every administration, is pushing the boundaries in terms of what they believe they can do without getting any kind of feedback from the courts, and the courts are feeding them back. And we're seeing Trump is pushing the edge. And if you're an investor like I am, you don't really care about the politics. You certainly don't make money on politics. You make money on policy. So you're trying to figure out, as you watch these signals, what the end game is going to be. What is the policy going to be? Trump is unique in the, if you look back in history, no administration's ever tried to negotiate 60 deals simultaneously, of which 18 matter. They're 70% of the trade. And so it's going to take a little longer. The courts are telling you through these decisions that not so fast, Bubba Louie, as they say. You got to go through a process, and that's exactly what's happening.
Well, let me ask you about the end game and how you look at it here. I'm sure you've heard this whole taco term that's come up. It stands for Trump always chickens out, referring to the markets tumbling after additional tariff threats and then rebounding sharply when he reverses course. And the president got very angry when he was asked about that term yesterday. But by one count, Kevin, he's flip-flopped, postponed, or reversed course at least 21 times so far. You know the man. Is this negotiation tactic or chaos?
You've got to learn with Trump, now this is his second term, that there is a lot of noise and then there's a signal. These are two different things. If you focus on the noise, you get distracted, and 50% of the market and 50% of the world has Trump derangement syndrome, and I completely understand that. I don't bother with that. That's a waste of time. I focus on the signal. The signal he's sending out since the beginning, since his first mandate, since his first term, is he's not happy with the trade situation worldwide vis-a-vis access to the U.S. markets, and he wants to balance them. Clearly, what Trump is doing here with the 17 countries, including the EU, Britain, India, Japan, Canada, Mexico, is a set of new trade terms. And I think we're going to get kind of to a reciprocal 10%. That's my own assumption. I'm investing that way. And so far, the markets have rewarded me for taking the long view. China is a separate deal. It's a completely separate kettle of fish. And I'm very glad that they came to the table in Geneva a few weeks ago, and that's ongoing too. With Trump, whether you like him or hate him, and it's 50-50, focus on the signal, not the noise. You'll get nowhere with the noise. The signal is what matters.
All I can do is roll my eyes at these rich people that just act like this stuff is normal while middle class, poor, and small businesses is getting destroyed. And you got people that vote against their interests just because they want to feel good, which makes no damn sense. I'm bothered by that too. But a tariff is a tax, people. And here's the thing. We are never going to be able to negotiate a fair deal because we consume 20% of all the world's goods, and we don't make all the goods in America. No. So the way that they love to pipe down your mouth, capitalism, that's what all the other nations is doing to our asses. And I remind y'all that we don't fully believe in capitalism. We do believe in socialism. It's just corporate socialism. And I got the receipts to prove it after I let Larry say what he needs to say. Somehow or another, this country and the Republicans have manipulated you MAGA maggots so much into thinking you shouldn't take help from the government. And while they get you prideful and you don't want to take help from the government, behind your back, when Amazon move into your community, why are they giving them $10 million in incentives, upfront money, and back-end money when you've got 30 or 40 small businesses barely hanging on that have been the backbone of that community for 20 years? Yeah. It makes no sense. That could elevate a community instead of giving it to Amazon. Having said that, I'll give the floor to Larry, then I'll show my receipts and we get up out of here. What you think, Larry?
You know, when I think about these tariffs, I mean, I am a content creator and I review products. And oftentimes I'm looking at these products that come out every year and there's not much difference. And like you said, we consume 20% of the world's goods, the world's resources. Do I need a phone every year? No. Do I need multiple phones every year? No. But I'm looking at my desk right now, looking at 3 flagship phones, and it's ridiculous. And when I look at them, there's not much of a difference between the one that came out this year or last year. And I think one good thing that these tariffs might do is they might actually force companies to make real meaningful upgrades to their products. Because if you all of a sudden now say this phone that last year cost $1,700, is now going to cost you $2,800, or $3,000 or whatever. And there's not much of a difference between this year and last year. I think most people will just simply say, I'm not buying it. I'm just not going to buy it. It's not worth it. It's one thing if you charge me an extra $50 or $100, but if you're charging me, an extra $400, $500, $600, $800, $1,000, and there's no real difference, then I'm not going to do it. And I think that maybe some of these companies won't get that until after their sales plummet, and then they're all kinds of trouble. But I think some companies may recognize, like, we can't sell the same iterative piece of junk that we've been selling and charge people an extra $500 or $1,000. I mean, I have a camera, the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. That camera, when it came out, was $519. It is 2 years later, that camera is now selling for $799. And the crazy thing is, they had what was called a creator combo kit that gave you the camera, a microphone, and some other accessories, a battery handle, some other stuff. That was their highest end combo kit. That kit, when it came out, was $669. That kit now is $979. So you're talking about a camera that was $600 and something for the kit, is now after tax going to be well over $1,000. And I don't think that these companies are going to be able to sell the products that they think they're going to sell at the prices that they're going to have to sell them at to make money, which I've already heard that some companies had pulled their products that they were going to release. They pulled them back and said, no, we have to reevaluate our release and our release dates. And I think part of that is because they know that some of these companies, like when you look at like the iPhone last year, the iPhone 16 Pro Max, a lot of people said, I'm not buying it. It's just not enough of an upgrade from the 15. And if all of a sudden now you look at the iPhone 17 Pro Max, and instead of it costing $1,500, it's going to cost you, $2,300. A lot of people are going to be like, I'm just not going to do it. It's too much money. It's not enough of a change. And Apple's going to be in a world of hurt if they're sitting on, 2-3 million devices that they can't move because they're too expensive. So maybe we'll get better products as a consequence.
We're not. What companies are going to wind up shifting and doing to keep the revenue stream going if products get marked up? I'm sitting here seeing it every single day when I'm trading stocks. They are moving toward monetizing and remonetizing intellectual property and AI, such as Tesla's self-driving. That's where they make all their real money, not selling the car. Sam Altman and ChatGPT, he makes buku's money for something that he done coded and fixed, and all he's got to do is put in a sprinkle of upgrades, and he's got this recurring revenue for the people that buy it. DeepSeek, China's version of this. So that's how they're going to get around that. But what I want people to take away from this is this, as Larry said.
Before you do that, can I ask you this? Because you mentioned the subscription thing. I wonder if that's a way around some of these tariffs. If they don't release, if instead of saying you're going to buy this iPhone and you're going to buy this iPhone and it's going to cost you how much ever more. Will tariffs apply to a subscription if there's no purchase involved? If you're just basically subscribing to this phone, is there a tariff involved? I mean, how would that work? Because then you could just simply say, I'm not buying. There's no purchase price here. It's a subscription to a service. And then maybe after you've had the service for a period of time, the company just gifts it to you. I wonder if that's a way around these tariffs, if somebody can figure out the legal wrangling of that.
That would be definitely something to look at. And as Larry was saying earlier, we got to hammer this home, and it comes down to progressive media to help out and be the echo chamber to hammer it home. Ladies and gentlemen, tariffs are a tax on the consumer. Tariffs are a tax on the consumer. Tariffs are a tax on the consumer. Second part to this, why do you all continue to let Republicans, some Democrats, and corporate interests fool you into thinking that the money they collect in taxes, if you need it, it's socialism, but for them, it's capitalism. When it's the other way around. When they take it, it's just as much socialism as if you get it. And let me show you how they keep giving you the banana in the tailpipe each and every time you vote for this dumb junk. This is what corporations have gotten. This is a 2025 estimate. The corporate tax reduction over 10 years is going to give businesses 1.5 trillion. Pass-through income for businesses, 820 billion. Estate tax exemptions increase, golly, 212 billion. Research and development R&D tax credit, it varies, and usually that's in the billions too. State and local tax deduction gaps, which is huge, that's usually in the billions. So that's the corporate interest. Let's look at small business and the poor. Small business grants up to $50,000 per grant. Bull job. Work opportunity tax credit, $9,000 per employee. Bull job. Earned income tax credit, $8,000 per family. Bull job, because everybody can't get that. Supplemental nutrition assistance SNAP, $93.8 billion annually. Okay, that's significant, but they're getting ready to try to cut that. Low income home energy assistance, $400 million. And the rest of the stuff that some Republicans, that's chump change. Look at those numbers and then look at these numbers. Trillions, billions, billions. Oh, hell, I made that in the stock market today, 50,000, 9,000 for a year. No, come on, y'all. Here's the conclusion.
And you're just talking about government stuff. You're talking about these. You're talking about the government tax breaks to businesses. We haven't even looked at budgets for the military. That would dwarf everything.
It would dwarf everything. So, ladies and gentlemen, I said all that to say, stop voting against your interests in a double entendre way. When you vote your rights away to the Republicans, not only are they feeding the special interest corporations by giving them upfront money, but then they hit you on the back end by making you pay for this stuff by reducing the services that really help you on a day-to-day basis. Stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. If I run for office, this is what I'm calling for. I'm going to increase spending to the VA. The people that serve this country, they need better facilities, they need quicker service, and we've done them wrong. I am going to put more money into small businesses than $50,000. I'm going to put money into that trade school, because a lot of the issues with young men is because they can't find jobs. Therefore, they don't have confidence in themselves. Therefore, they ain't out here getting laid. You give these men something they can look forward to in terms of income. When you're done with trade school, I've got $25,000 for you to go start a plumbing business, go start an electrician business, go be a landscaper. You put those type of things in place for small business, middle class, and you beef up the safety nets we have for the poor. It's been proven that you save money and even get a benefit from those type of things. And that's what Lamont Tyson would do when he runs for office.
I've heard a lot of people praise the whole thing about trade schools, and I think it is a good thing to give money to people to go to trade school. I think it's important, but I think that at the same time we cannot in some respects just give up on our youth and say let's just send them all to trade school, because that's what it sounds like a lot of times when people are saying, not you, but when I hear Trump and some of these people saying, send all these people to trade schools and learn how to be plumbers and HVAC repairmen and mechanics and all that stuff. It almost feels like they're saying our kids aren't smart enough to lead the next generation of AI or medical research or whatever. And we can't just cede all of that to the Chinese or the Indians or the Koreans or the whoever else. We can't just say, let them have it and we're just all going to become a bunch of mechanics. We have to say we are going to prepare our youth to become the next generation of thought leaders, the most intelligent people that we have. And And if we find that we have gaps, then bring those smart people into the country like we have been doing.
So
You
what
know?
they're doing, Larry, when you hear Republicans say that type of talk and Trump, all they're doing is appeasing those rednecks that just wake up and want to be told what to do, want to have the weekend off so they can drink beer and go to their damn NASCAR races, and they're not kind of ambitious when it comes to critical thinking, when it comes to expanding education. And I'm not saying you have to be. If you want to go to a 9 to 5, be told what to do, and just have the weekends off, that's your prerogative. As long as you can take care of yourself, fine. But don't be trying to force everybody else who wants opportunity to be put in that same boat. And when you hear those Republicans say that, Larry, they're not talking to people like me and you. They're talking to those who don't think, or how do I say uneducated without putting somebody down, that don't think as critically as we do. And you don't have to, but you can't stop other people that want to do it, because we need the Crystal Tysons of the world researching what can prevent kidney failure. You need the cancer people. You need all these smart brains, along with the people that can get these skilled trades, along with small business. We tend to forget about them. Small businesses need to be refortified in everybody's community. We don't got no time to keep giving Amazon and big corporations millions to come in your community, and then you tell us that the money that you gave them is going to spark new money, when you could just give the money to small businesses so they can expand, so they can do more hiring, so they can bring in more products, so they can expand their inventory. That's a way you can get this economic engine going, and that's a way you can galvanize some people back into a better voting position.
I hear you and I agree with you, and I think that I think there is a domino effect of not trying to encourage young men to become the best, the brightest, and the highest paid members of society, because
You mean amongst the Republican Party or both parties?
Both parties. Because what
Mm.
happens is right now is that we are encouraging our women to do that. Our young girls, they're all, it's you look around and you see, women in STEM and Black Girl Magic and this and that. It's everyone has this big push to get women to be these great thought leaders and scientists and everything else, and that's wonderful. But what happens when you don't have men on equal footing with them is that you end up where women are because we're still very primal, and we're still very, women still want providers and protectors. We live in a relatively safe society. There's no real need for a protector. You don't need to worry about being protected from getting clubbed over the head by some tribal rival, or getting dragged out from the bush from a mountain lion. We just don't really have to worry about that anymore. And so it's really about providing. And a lot of women are just like, yeah, he can't do anything for me. He doesn't make enough money, And as a consequence, we live in a single majority country. People are not getting married. People are staying away from each other in that sense. And now we have a declining birth rate. And the only reason why our birth rate was even halfway holding steady was because of immigration. And now we have slowed that, and our birth rate is declining. So if you hear about these Republicans talking about the wanting to increase our birth rate. Well, the only way to do that is to encourage women to want to be with men. And you can't do that if the men aren't people that they see as a possible mate. And they don't see that because they look at the men and they think to themselves, I don't need him to do that. I'm doing just fine without him. So the only way to really to encourage that is to make it so that their lives are going to be better with them. And we live in a safe society. So the only real way to do that is to make it so they're more financially prosperous. And
well, that's what I just said.
And no, I know, but I'm not saying that plumbers and mechanics don't make good money, but we need to make sure that the men are looked after too, that they are really encouraged to go out there and do the best and the brightest. And I know people can scream, oh, the patriarchy. And yes, terrible things have happened with men in the patriarchy. But when you leave men behind, and we have seen this throughout history in other countries, when you leave men behind, you will end up with violent conflict, without a doubt. It is only a matter of time before you end up with violent conflict in your country when you have men left behind enough. And that's not a threat. Yep. It is just a matter of fact. It is just history. It's history that will repeat itself.
Y'all post your comments. Let us know what you think. We've got to get out of here. I have a 4-year-old that needs to go to sleep, and she is just tripping. So we're going to get out of here. Don't forget to post your comments, like the video, download the podcast. It is called Politics of Being Black in America. Anywhere you get your podcast. I'll see Larry and bring him back later on another time. And until that next Sex is Hell video, we're out.